Kerry Halligan. I am retired. I was very fortunate to make it to the end of my career, and I think I kept the majority of my sanity because I was fortunate enough to have 5 different canine partners during my career. So there's a huge, huge proponent when it comes to dogs and helping us get through our days and get through some of the situations that we're exposed in. So my gratitude goes out to you guys for spinning up dogs and training them. So a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Connecticut. Grew up raising and training horses. So this is about as close as I could come with the state police. Got hired by the state police in 1999 and was fortunate enough and driven enough, I guess, to get assigned my first canine partner in 2001. And again, I love that training process. I really do. I love being a trooper, and one of the things we have to do is a double duty. So we work as a regular trooper, so you take your assaults and domestics and car accidents and fatals and stuff like that. But I also ran a dog. So my first dog was patrol, so he can track, he can do apprehension, building searches, normal patrol dog stuff, but he was also cross-trained in human remain detection, search and rescue, and cadaver recovery. So we had a lot of fun with that. As I stated earlier, my first dog was kind of a jerk. He loved me, and that was about it. Didn't like other people, didn't like other dogs for sure, and he started to age, and it came time to get another dog. So I was fortunate that I was able to convince the agency to let me take on a puppy, which is really a roll of the dice. But that was the only thing my dog wouldn't eat, was a puppy. So I was able to raise my second dog as a puppy with him, transitioned beautifully, worked him, same thing. Patrol, was able to cross-train him in human remain detection, search and rescue, and had a blast with that. I then, after years and years and years of trying, I am the 3rd female in Connecticut to become a handler. I'm the first to ever repeat and become a senior handler, and I was the first woman ever to be assigned to the K9 unit and emergency services unit, which is kind of elite. Thank you. When I got there, I got to become the first bloodhound handler female, the first explosives dog handler female. So I was very, very fortunate, none of which I realized until I started doing my resume after I retired and went, oh, that's kind of cool. I never knew that. I didn't think about that. So none of it was just things I wanted to do and achieve and something I really, really loved and enjoyed. So as an instructor then, I always worked these big, tough, strong dogs. Not this one. And I was asked to come to the detection side of the house. Oh, but I want to be cool. I want to have the big German Shepherd. So kicking and screaming, being the junior person, I went to the detection side of the house, and I am so, so thankful to those 2 guys who convinced me to do that, because it was probably one of the best choices in my life. In doing that, I trained dogs to find narcotics, explosives, accelerant, ignitable, arson dogs. And which, if anybody doesn't know, in 1986, Connecticut State Police created the first arson dog in the world, which thankfully Linda came down and helped us honor the 30th anniversary of Maddie being trained and being released to the world, and everything that arson dogs have done, you know, around the world since then. So I was so fortunate to be on board for 2012 when we had a lieutenant come across the complex with a thumb drive. And he came over to the K9 unit and he said, we know we're missing these, a lot of child exploitation searches, and we know we're missing these. And they have hundreds and hundreds of images and data and tracking and things like that. Can a dog find this thing? We haven't searched all day, so he keeps thinking eventually we're going to stop and search. And being trainers, instructors, and troopers, which aren't the most poetic folks in the world, we broke it apart to find something we could search for, none of which looked like anything usable to us. But we had a chemist that was on board back in the inception of the arson program, the Accelerant program, and he said, whoa, whoa, I know how this imprinting a dog to find stuff thing works. If I can find you a chemical or a series of chemicals that are isolated just to memory like this, that's what you want to find. Will you try it? Sure, smart chemist guy over in the lab. Sure, you're going to find one chemical. All I can find is little bits of metal and plastic. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. And sure enough, he bought a couple different devices, whether it was thumb drives, and he said, would you guys want to find hard drives too? Yeah, that would be good, Computer Crime says. Laptop hard drives, yep. We didn't even think about cell phones at the time. There's so many things that were so out of our peripheral. And he was able to isolate one common chemical. Granted through gross chromatograph, he's an amazing, amazing man. And it happened to be a polymer. So anything that has memory has to have a chip that holds the memory, right? And that chip has to be coated with this specific polymer. And I told this story earlier, so I apologize if it's not as fun. But we went, okay, well, polymer, that's like plastic, right? Yeah. I said, okay, Mr. Smart Chemist. There's plastics everywhere. Our dogs are going to be hitting on everything. They're going to be stopping and finding stuff. That's not going to work. Where else are we going to see this polymer? It's a heat dissipating polymer that's very, very specific just to processing these chips. And he's very, very, very serious. He's a very stoic man. And he said, well, anything that's going to leave the Earth's atmosphere needs to be coated with it. We're not searching NASA. And flame retardant suits. We're like, well, flame retardant suits are everything. The poor firefighters are going to constantly be getting barraged by these dogs. He goes, no, it's a very specific one. High-end chemical companies have it. It costs about $35,000 a suit. Well, I'm certainly not going to be searching a chemical plant. So those were ruled out. And those were our biggest concerns, where we're going to run into this chemical in the real world. So we started training a dog just on the pure chemical, K9 Selma. She's here, sleeping. Because we're sitting at the Today Show forever in the morning. I think we had to get there for like 3 o'clock in the morning to go on for 10. But Selma was our first dog, and it was 6 months of imprintation. You sniff this, you get fed. You sniff this, you get fed. Labs are really, really good at that. They like to eat. They are very, very willing to work for that, and it's amazing how quickly you can teach them that odor. After 6 months, they made the big step of, hey, we're going to transition to a live device, and everybody sort of held their breath and went, I think it's hocus pocus. I don't think it's going to work. There's no way. And the dog didn't even blink an eye. Hit the device, alerted to it, sat, started drooling, and went, put the food in my mouth, please. Why are you waiting so long? Everybody's got their mouth open. So really, really fun experience. Since then, we've trained, we kept it quiet for a while, made sure operationally it worked out well, and then we've gone on to train dozens of dogs around the country, and I've gone on to train trainers around the world to try to pass these on to their agencies as well. So what do we use them for now? Our primary thing, right, we started with just the thumb drive. That's all we thought about. Well, then we realized dogs are hitting on cell phones. Are they supposed to? Do they have memory? So we went, oh, and what is on your cell phone? Your life is on your cell phone. So they were vital, vital parts of an investigation. It told you where you went, who you called, what you did, and what do you want to hide when the cops are coming after you and you don't want them to find it. So we went from thumb drives to hard drives to, all of a sudden we got into tablets and SD cards, micro SD cards. Everybody knows how tiny those are and how easy they are to hide. Well, they actually end up having more of this chemical because they don't have the big fans that the laptops have. So they're, to us as humans, hard to find. To a dog, no big deal because it's got a lot of that odor coming off of it. We were leaving a stalking case. And we, in general, just taught dogs to search cars because we did that for arson, we did it for bomb, and we did it for narcotics, so we should teach an electronics dog to do that too. Well, the dog hits the back end of a car, looks up at the handler and starts drooling right away. And he went, embarrassed at the time, he tries to pull the dog off because he's not sure why his dog has just stopped. And one of the guys said, well, what's going on? Nothing. And they look, and there's a pancake GPS device on the back of the car. Ex-boyfriend was stalking her, had placed one on there, knew when she left the house, and he would come into the house to change out the hidden cameras that she had just found too. But hidden cameras, they don't necessarily hold memory, but it's anything that can transmit memory also has to have these chips and processors. So now we find out we can find hidden cameras and recording devices as well. And the last case story I'll tell you, because it's just one of those fields that's so much fun to teach because it's evolving constantly. We've had narcotics dogs and arson dogs, and arson's the second newest, but the other dog fields have kind of been around. There's nothing new. Well, this is constantly changing and new. So I got a call from one of my students, and she said, my dog just found a gun. I don't know what happened. I was looking for tablets and phones. and the dog hit a laundry basket, and, you know, sure to come, I undug it, and there's the gun. It was a double homicide. And they want to know why my dog found the gun. I went, tell me about the gun. It has a digital scope that can be processed and changed and adjusted all electronically. So it has memory. Double homicide, they didn't have it prior to that. They had already searched the house with the rest of the team. So that was a fun, but she called in a full-blown panic, and she left and, you know, to go and have a drink because she was really, really excited. So it is a really, really fun, evolving field. So as I retired, it was one of those things where I really enjoyed it. I finished, thankfully. I'd handed off our narcotics, I'd handed off explosives to other trainers, but I was in charge of the accelerant program, and I was in charge of the electronics program. And welcome to the state of police force right now, right? We have a tough time getting new people and getting more and more people to take over our positions as we get ready to leave. So I made the decision to sort of take it with me. And I'm still fortunate enough to kind of teach us around the country. And I usually do try to plan my training in nice areas at nice times, because that's what you can do in retirement. But yeah, it's a blast, and I enjoy being able to give a tool out there. We use them for, of course, the child exploitation field, but those are, ICAC was kind of the first ones who really started pulling for these dogs, but then we started using them for the human trafficking cases and the anti-terrorism cases, like in NYPD's case, to your, you know, basic homicides, anything that has a digital footprint. What case do we work as police now that don't have some component of electronics in it anymore? We don't, you know, we just don't. So it's great. These guys can come in, and we really try to search for things that were not necessarily, we'll send in the evidence recovery teams in, take the laptop, take the cell phone, take what you can. Dogs go in there and find what's hidden, things that are concealed, things that look like other things. And I should have brought my list of stuff for you to see, whether it be a coat hook that is a camera, or your lighter, your smoke detector. They're all hidden audio and video devices that, again, as investigators, you kind of go, ugh, you might overlook it, where the dog could care less what it looks like, just what it smells like to them. So it's been a really, really exciting field. And again, I'll be here if anybody has any questions, but it's that ever-changing, and if you could just help, you know, cops out a little bit, and they can in turn help the public, I can sleep well at night.